All right, welcome. Today, we're not just going to learn how to code. No, we are embarking on an adventure. Building your very first app can feel like exploring this brand new, exciting world, and we're here to give you the map you need to navigate it. Our journey starts right now. Let's get into it. So let me ask you this. Have you ever had that spark, that brilliant idea for an app, but then you just felt completely overwhelmed by where to even begin? Trust me, you are not alone. That journey from just an idea to actually being on the App Store, it can seem like this massive, impossible task. But every great journey starts with a single step, and of course, a good guide. So let's just forget about those dry, boring checklists. I want you to think of this as your treasure map. We are going to mark out all the essentials you need, the worlds you're going to build, and the magic you're going to learn. And along the way, we'll highlight 3 major milestones that'll act as checkpoints on your quest. This isn't just another tutorial. This is your roadmap to becoming a real Flutter developer. Okay, so before any adventure, what do you have to do? You gotta pack your bags. For us, that means gathering all the foundational knowledge. This is square one. This is where we start. First things first, let's get 2 key terms straight right out of the gate. Dart is the programming language. Think of it as the collection of magic spells that you'll be writing. Flutter, on the other hand, is the toolkit, the UI framework. That's the magic wand that takes your Dart spells and actually builds beautiful, working apps from them for both iOS and Android. So how do you get started? It's really just a 3-step process. First, you've got to learn the basic grammar of your spells in Dart. It's way simpler than you might think. We're talking about things like creating a variable to hold some text. Second, you'll set up your digital workshop by installing the Flutter SDK and an editor. And finally, you'll get comfortable with the command line. That's how you'll tell your tools what to do. And this leads to your very first major milestone on this map, getting everything installed and successfully running your first Hello World app. It's a rite of passage for every single developer out there. Now, here's something that's absolutely crucial. You need a travel journal. In the coding world, that's Git. It's a system that tracks every single change you make. You can think of it as a super-powered undo button for your whole project. And using a site like GitHub to store your code online, well, that not only backs everything up, it creates a public portfolio of your work. Seriously, if you're looking to land a job in 2026 or beyond, having a clean, active GitHub profile is absolutely non-negotiable. Okay, our bags are packed and our journal is ready. Now we can finally start building our world. In Flutter, the visual building blocks are called widgets. And this is where all that code you write starts to come to life right on the screen. So what is a widget? Well, simply put, everything you see in a Flutter app is a widget. A button? That's a widget. The text? That's a widget. The layout, the spacing, even the entire screen itself is just a big widget. It's just like Legos. You combine all these simple little building blocks to create incredibly complex and beautiful structures. Now, your widgets basically come in 2 main flavors. You've got a stateless widget, which is kind of like a painted signpost. You set it up once, and it never changes. Then you have a stateful widget. That's more like a digital scoreboard at a sports game. Its state can change over time based on user input or new data. Getting this distinction down is absolutely crucial for building apps that feel interactive and alive. And this right here brilliantly illustrates one of Flutter's superpowers. It gives you 2 whole sets of pre-designed widgets right out of the box. You get Material for that classic Android look and feel, and you get Cupertino for that clean, native iOS style. And this brings you to your second major milestone, building a simple app that uses these widgets and can navigate between a couple of screens. At this point, you're not just writing code anymore. You are creating a real user experience. Okay, you've built the structure of your world. Now it's time to breathe some life into it with some deeper magic, the kind of stuff that will make your app truly powerful. Look, a static app is fine, but a really useful app that interacts with the world, it pulls in live data, like weather updates or social media posts, and it remembers what the user likes. To do all that, we need to connect our app to outside information and give it a way to manage its own memory. So how does an app get data? Well, it can talk to other services through something called an API. It can save information directly on the user's phone for when they're offline, or it can use a cloud backend like Firebase. And let me tell you, mastering a service like Firebase is a huge plus for anyone looking for a job. Hitting your 3rd milestone, integrating an API to show live data in your app, that's the moment you really start to feel like a pro. So, your app can fetch data. Great! But how does it keep track of everything while the user is tapping around? For instance, how does a shopping cart app remember what's in the cart as you browse different pages? This is where a big concept called state management comes into play. State management is basically your app's short-term memory. Now, there are a lot of different scrolls or patterns for how to do this, and each one has its own strengths. As a beginner, please don't get overwhelmed by this list. Just start with a simpler one, like Provider or Riverpod. The key is just to have an organized way for all the different parts of your app to share information. As your world gets more and more complex, you need to make sure it's stable. And speaking from a senior mentor's perspective, let me tell you, nothing separates an amateur from a professional more than testing. Writing tests proves that your code actually works the way you think it does, and it keeps you from accidentally breaking things down the road. It is a non-negotiable skill for any serious developer. Testing really happens on 3 different levels. Unit tests check a single function or, a single magic spell. Widget tests check a single visual component. Is this part of the castle looking right? And integration tests check that all the pieces of your app work together smoothly, making sure the whole kingdom functions as one. You've built your world. You've tested your world. The final stage of our adventure is sharing it with everyone else. This is that triumphant moment where you take your creation from your computer and publish it for anyone in the world to use. Now, for a truly professional workflow, you can automate this whole process with something called CI/CD pipeline. The best way to think of it is like a magical assembly line. Every time you save a change to your code, tools like GitHub Actions will automatically run all your tests and package the app for release. It is a massive time saver, and it ensures quality. So that final push involves 3 main steps. First, you have to carefully read the rules for Apple's App Store and Google's Play Store. Second, you'll package your app into the final file format they need. And finally, you hit submit and launch your app. And just like that, congratulations, you are now a published app developer. This quote, it just perfectly captures the whole experience of learning to code. It's not about knowing everything all at once. It's about taking that very first step, setting up your computer, writing that first line of code, and just building from there, piece by piece. Look, this map we've shared today is just a guide to the main path. The world of Flutter is absolutely enormous, and when you get stuck, and trust me, you will get stuck, learn how to ask smart questions in communities on places like Discord or Reddit. This journey is a marathon, not a sprint. Try to practice for an hour every day, celebrate your small wins to avoid burnout, and just never, ever stop being curious. So, there you have it, a clear, step-by-step guide. You know the language, you know the tools, and you know the key milestones waiting for you. The only thing missing from this equation is you. So the map is in your hands. When does your adventure begin?